Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. In today's episode, I want to do a quick update to show you what the finished frame looks like for the Misfit Split. So be sure to stick around.
We're at the movies, huh?
Yep, we're at the movies.
So this week marks 1 year from whenever I bought the '78 Corvette, which was the donor car for the chassis for the Misfit Split project. And if you recall, that car had fire damage, and I ended up selling that body to a friend in Ohio, and he's actually going to make it into a car again, which is cool, so that it's not dying. And this frame is allowing the Misfit Split to come along. So exactly a year ago, we brought it home from Ohio, and then in about October, we ripped it apart and it started the transformation. So if you haven't seen the other videos on it, be sure to check those out. But I have a video on redoing the front suspension, the rear suspension, doing the frame conversion, stiffening up the frame. A lot of videos on this chassis right here. And this is the heart of the whole build right here. It came together really nice, so I'm just finishing it up by putting on the brake lines. It's a 67 standard brake line set. The only modification I had to make was had to add a little whoop-de-doo in this line to get it to line up. I guess just this hole may have been in a different place, or this bracket was in a different place on the '78. But I made it all work out. I went with the 67 so that way I could get a dual reservoir system and non-power, because that engine might not be making enough vacuum to support the brake booster. But other than that, you know, everything's pretty much the stock '78 suspension. I added different bushings, added these super beef trick trailing arms from Global West. Just stole my buddy Rick's gas tank because I needed a gas tank really quick, and he hooked me up. He's not going to need it for a while, so it's all good. Doesn't sound good. So I got that in, and because I did the frame conversion on this, I forgot to drill a hole in this bulkhead in the middle of this frame, so I couldn't run my fuel line through it. So I have to modify the fuel line, and I'm going to snake it underneath this area. It'll be fine. Just have to add a little additional piece right there. Got to get some flares put on those pieces so they won't leak, and that'll be wrapping up. But overall, the chassis is pretty much done, except for torquing a couple bolts and then putting in the actual engine, you know, clutch bell and bell housing and all that good stuff. So I have some more tweaking to do, but that'll be after the cab is finished and glued together. And as you can see, I'll have a video coming up on this very shortly, but the cab is fully glued together, and hopefully later this week the rear clip will be made onto here, and this will start to become a split window again, which will be really cool. But a lot of people have asked me why this chassis is gray instead of, you know, every other chassis is black. You know, they have paint called chassis black, so why would you paint it gray? Well, the initial plan was I want to do a road race theme with the car, and road race cars paint their frames white so they can see if you have a crack forming somewhere. So if there's a high stress area, there's a crack forming. If it's a nice light color and if it's thin paint, you'll be able to see it, where black may hide it. So I wanted to go with that, but white would probably get too dirty, and I want to drive the car. So I wanted to do like a charcoal color, kind of like the Cast Blast. But I picked out a color, and whenever I went to pick it up, it was a little lighter than what I had initially hoped, but it still looks cool. So it just needs a couple more touches whenever I finish detailing it out, and it's also very dirty right now. But with all the suspension components on it, it definitely cleans it up a little bit. So I think it looks pretty cool. When it has the roll bar on it and stuff too, it looks pretty good. It has a lot of good accents, and for as much of it as you'll see, you know, it's fine. I wanted to showcase all the modifications because I did back half the frame, fully seam welded it, added these gussets, added the plates for the roll bar, changed all the body mounts, changed the frame horns, added these gussets in the front. I mean, there's just a ton of work done on this frame, and if I would just paint it black, no one will really notice. And the whole idea with this is to be different and to stand out, and I think I'm accomplishing that. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a lot of cool videos coming up on the Misfit Split. For instance, on Friday I have a video coming up on the Misfit Split actually becoming a split window. So I'm not going to give you any more detail than that, so you're going to have to stick around, check out that video. I'll catch you guys later.